are all unique and have our own personal story. So dive in with me and let's get to know some extraordinary people. This week's episode, I sit down with Craig Shumway. He's extremely passionate about many things, including real estate and connecting with people. I hope you really enjoy this episode. All right, Craig.
All right.
Are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready to dive in. Let's do it.
Diving in with Craig Shumway. His shirt says he's home. Do you feel at home?
Dude, I'm home.
That's the first and
I'm home.
foremost. You feel
That's
good.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Question for you.
Okay.
If you could sell a house to anyone, anywhere, where would you sell?
Sell a house to anyone.
Anyone, anywhere. So
Anywhere.
it could be in Arizona, Argentina, anywhere.
Oh, shoot.
Anyone, anywhere.
That's a big question. Because there's a lot of cool places in the world, right?
Right.
And actually, I've been kind of thinking about the different places in the world and how it's really cool to go visit other places. But here's the thing. Other people think it's really cool to come visit here. Right?
Yeah.
And we have the
Arizona.
Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of cool things in Arizona.
Absolutely.
And no matter where you live, you still have to live life. Like you still have school. You still have your responsibilities. You still have the normal things in life. So where would I sell a house? I'd sell it here.
Here.
Why not?
At home.
Yeah, it's home. Arizona has a ton to offer.
Absolutely.
And that's part of the reason I do what I do here is because I think people should love where they live. And this is a great place to love. If you talk to, like I get clients from Minnesota, from California, from a lot of other places. I very rarely hear someone say, I wish I wouldn't have moved to Arizona. Like people love Arizona.
I do. Well, especially right now, this time of year.
Oh, especially right now, yeah.
You can't beat it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And even the heat, we get up to what, 123, 124?
Yeah, no big deal. Come on.
But you get used to it, right?
Totally.
It's like, how often are you just outside in the summer?
Yeah.
Unless you're, working construction or, but it's like the heat, you get used to it. Is it really that big of a deal? You're either in the swimming pool or in an air-conditioned room. Okay, so Arizona home.
Yeah.
Are you a native?
I am. I was doing the math the other day, right? I think I'm 4 generations Arizona.
Really?
There's a little town called Shumway, Arizona. I think it probably has 5 people in it at this point.
Where is Shumway? I did not know that. I know a lot of Shumways, and we've talked about this because there's a lot of Shumways from up where I'm from, St. John's and Show Low area. Mm-hmm. No relation there that we know of with you. Well,
right.
we know you're probably related, but where's Shumway? Is it like in northern Arizona?
Yeah, it's up in northern Arizona. I think it's out by the Show Low area.
Okay.
Somewhere. There's a little like 1-room schoolhouse that I visited a couple of times as a youth. But
nice.
My grandpa would take us out. He's from a small town in Woodruff,
okay.
Arizona. There's like 500 people outside of Holbrook.
Oh, yeah. I know
and so when
it
we
is.
would go visit up there, he'd take us to Shumway.
That is neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so do people ever ask you like, oh, you're from Arizona, you're a native? Do they ever act surprised when you tell them you're a native from Arizona?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Right. And why is that? Because I'm obviously a native too. And when I tell people that, they're like, really? You don't meet many of those.
Yeah.
It's just so fascinating to me.
Totally. Well, it's really the invention of air conditioning that's made Arizona livable. No.
True. Especially
to a certain extent,
down
that's
here.
true, right?
Right.
And so we're not next to an ocean, so we don't have a big port. Like people aren't importing stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a city that's kind of grown out of the desert, grown out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Phoenix, right? It's like the perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had a lot of implants.
Yeah.
Can you call people implants? Is that the right term?
Transplants.
Transplants.
I don't know. So I was listening on NPR a couple of years ago, and they said that the most people, like the most transplants or whatever we're going to call them, but more people have moved to Phoenix or to Arizona from Chicago than any other place in the U.S.
Right.
It's interesting.
Because Arizona's awesome, right?
Yeah, it is. I love it. I am very proud to be from Arizona.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, though. I love to go other places, and I love to travel the world, and even just within the States. And I love the beauty of just the diversity, right? From different places. For example, I used to get super jealous when I would fly into the South. So my best friend from high school, her name's Maris, and she's from Mississippi, but she lives in Tennessee now.
Okay.
So when I'd fly into Mississippi to visit her, or now Tennessee, there's just something about flying into the South and all the green and the trees, and it's just so lush. And
Totally.
Whenever I go to places like that, I'm like, man, I'm so jealous. I love the green. But then I come back to Arizona, and you know what? It's different, but it has its own beauty.
Well, totally.
It's gorgeous, but in a different way.
So what's your friend who lives there? What's she say about it?
What?
Living in the green.
Oh, she loves it. I mean, that's her home. That's, it's like me with Arizona. She loves it. But she loves coming out west, too, to visit. And she thinks it's so pretty out here, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I've gone to a lot of different places. Like, I sold pest control door to door right after my mission and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, went to Atlanta, went to Raleigh. Super green. Amazing. It's beautiful. And when you get there from, after living in Arizona, it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
But then after a while, it's like there's trees everywhere.
Yes.
You can never see a long distance in front of you.
I have heard a lot of people say that.
You have chiggers and you have ticks and you have all these bugs that live in the green. Like you hear people complain about it, right?
Right.
And then I always thought it was funny, living here. I'm like, oh, we just live in the desert. There's cactus. And then we'd get these visitors. I'd be out hiking or something. And people are like, man, it's so beautiful here. How do you live here? It's just awesome. I'm like, really? This is beautiful? So it's all your perspective, right?
It is.
Right?
It's all perspective. And it's a nice thing to be able to say, okay, you know what? I can see the beauty in any place, right?
Yeah.
And what you were saying earlier is you can really be happy wherever you are. You just have to make it home, right?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And what makes a place home?
For me personally, the people I'm with.
Yeah.
My family.
That's exactly
You know what I mean? That's the number one. Mm-hmm. I always tell my husband that, like, I would be happy living anywhere. I really think I could be happy living anywhere as long as I'm with the people I love. Now, I'm sure there'd be certain things that would probably drive me crazy about certain places.
Oh, for sure.
Or there would be certain things I'd miss about Arizona or whatnot. But really, if you're with the people you love, I think you can be happy.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're from Arizona, but you've lived overseas.
Yeah, on my mission.
Argentina.
Is that overseas or is it just down the long continent? You know what I mean?
If you want it, we're going to dive in. Let's get specific here. So Argentina, and that is a place that you and Brittany ended up going back to visit.
We did, yeah.
And she loves it. So Brittany is Craig's wife, and she's told me several times I would live in Argentina if I could.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to live there.
Yeah.
Would you
She's
ever go
awesome.
back?
She's super adventurous. And it was really fun bringing her back. I remember when we got off the airplane, we took a taxi.
A remise.
A remise, exactly right. To the hotel. And I remember looking and just bringing back all the memories from when I was there, right? Seeing all the buildings and the construction and the way the city's laid out. So when we get to the hotel, I asked her, I was like, so what do you think of like the city and the buildings and how some of them aren't finished and so how they use different style brick and this and that? And she's all, I didn't even notice. I was too busy worrying we were going to die because they drive like crazy down there. They don't follow the lane lines. When they come to a stop sign or whatever, they just honk their horn. Hey, I'm coming through.
Yeah, that's so funny. But that is so true. That takes me back to my days in South America.
Yeah.
Crazy driving.
Yeah.
And just passing you on the shoulder lanes or, in the middle. It's just crazy.
Absolutely.
That's fun. Okay, so you answered part of my question, the question. You said, I asked, if you could sell a house to anybody and anywhere. So we got the anywhere. Yeah. Arizona, home, wonderful place. If you could choose to be a realtor for anybody here in Arizona, who would you like to be a realtor for? Just envision getting to spend a lot of time with any particular person and showing them houses, shooting the breeze.
Sure. That's a super hard question because I do like people a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I also hate people. They drive me nuts. Let's be honest here, right?
Yeah.
But the best thing about what I do is spending time with people. Mm-hmm. And that's like asking, hey, who do you want to spend time with the most? Well, obviously my wife, right? Yeah. She's the best.
Right.
But
we're going to exclude her from this. She doesn't qualify on this question.
Totally. So you're like asking me who my favorite person is.
Well, or who would you, or somebody you would love to meet,
Someone
right?
I
And
would love to
interact with,
Here's
work
who,
with.
Here's who I would help
out.
buy a house.
Okay, let's hear it.
Jimmer Fredette, because he just signed with the Suns. Why not, right?
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not
Now
know
he's
this.
been playing in China for the last few years.
Yeah,
But
I just remember him
why
from
not?
the BYU days,
Yeah,
that crazy March
absolutely.
Madness. That's a perfect answer. And you're a Suns fan,
and
too.
I don't know anything about him other than he played basketball at BYU.
Yeah,
But,
that's all I
you
know,
know.
too. And
Good
didn't
enough.
he go crazy on like some March Madness and
Yeah,
or
he-
just like have a really good year or something?
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
had a
I just
great
always
year.
associate him with BYU and March Madness for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, but that's cool. I did not realize he just signed for the Suns.
Yeah, so he was in the NBA for a little bit, wasn't hacking it, went over to China, and the Suns brought him back. So we'll
Get
see.
out.
We'll see how he does.
Now, you are a Suns fan, I believe, right?
Oh, I am a huge Suns fan, although that's really hard to do right now, or be right now.
Yeah. They've had a rough few years, huh?
They've had like 10 rough years. Since Steve Nash left, it's just been sucky.
Yeah. I still remember like my first exposure to the Suns,
Mm-hmm.
or just like first becoming, not first exposure, but first becoming a real Suns fan. Probably like 1993.
Yep.
Remember when they were in the finals with
Charles
the Bulls?
Barkley, Kevin Johnson.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I just remember how exciting that was. I love, here's the deal. I love the NBA playoffs. I never follow the NBA during the year, but when it comes to playoffs, I love it.
Yeah.
Me and my sisters, all three of us, for some reason, we get so into the playoffs.
There you go.
But yeah, I
Do
don't
you
know.
do that with other sports too?
Not really. Like football, I'll follow along because my husband, right? But I do love a Super Bowl. Like I love
Mm-hmm.
the Super Bowl, and we always pick which team we're gonna go for. And me and my husband are not always rooting for the same team, but we always wear our shirts. My in-laws
You
make
would
a
root
big
for a
deal.
different team just because, wouldn't
No,
you?
actually, no. That's my dad. He always has to go for like the underdog, or like if Davey's gonna go for a team, my husband's or my dad's gonna go for somebody else, just to do that. But I think there's only been maybe 2 or 3 Super Bowls in the 11 or 12 years we've been together that we have gone for different teams. So,
Okay.
but anyway, so I get really into that. But yes, going back to like the 1993, I think it was like, I just remember 93 because it was when I was still in St. John's.
Okay.
And we would watch these playoff games at our friend's house, the Burdocks. They lived behind us. And it was just so fun getting so into it. And
is
yeah, Charles
fun.
Barkley. And the other day, my husband and I were in Las Vegas. We went over there for a Van Morrison concert. And we were walking through Mandalay Bay. And I was like, Davey, I think that's Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was sitting over there gambling at the table.
That's
just kind
awesome.
of fun. He's hard to miss with that round face.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Round head. Okay, your favorite Suns player?
Steve Nash. Yeah.
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 He's a cool dude.
He's a cool dude. Just seems like a nice dude.
Yeah. That's
I like the
awesome.
way he played.
Yeah.
It kind of gave me hope as a small white guy that like, hey, I can be kind of athletic. And
Well-
now I'm not, but
Well, do you play basketball or do you play any sports for
sure,
fun?
on Saturdays,
Okay.
pick up at the church. That's it,
But you are athletic. You and your wife are both very much into fitness.
So we work out, yes.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same as being athletic.
I would say it is because
Okay.
I feel like you guys just don't work out. I mean, you owned a gym at one point.
We did, yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So that was a great experience.
Was it?
And it really did get me into like wanting to stay in shape. Now, lately I've kind of let that go a little bit, you know what I mean?
Me too.
Going to New York, eating some good food.
I get it.
It hasn't been what it used to be, but owning a gym was fun. Like being in that atmosphere, being in that lifestyle. It was a CrossFit gym.
Okay.
It wasn't anything huge or, but it was a blast. And here's the thing I learned. My wife's stronger than me. Like
Physically,
in certain areas.
emotionally.
in certain areas, she definitely is. And so it was humbling for me. When you're out there trying your best to lift a weight or to do a workout and you got somebody over there just beating you, you have to humble yourselves a little and still show gratitude towards the other person, right?
Yeah.
But still be competitive. And my wife is super competitive.
Yeah. But you know what I like? I like that you can recognize that, because that's got to take some humility to be able to recognize that your wife's stronger than you in many areas, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or more than one area is what I'm trying to say. But good for you for recognizing that.
Well, I think it just builds better if you can recognize that, hey, we are a partnership, and I don't have to be the best at everything. Like, what kind of partnership is that?
Yeah.
Whether it's in your job or school or in your family, if you're thinking, hey, I'm superior to this person in all ways.
Yeah.
Who wants to be in that kind of relationship?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a healthy relationship to be able to recognize, you know what I mean? That you're essentially equals, right?
Right.
And you're partners.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
awesome. How many years have you been married?
We got married in 2010, so we're working on 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Biggest accomplishment in these 9 years?
The biggest accomplishment in these 9 years. I don't know. We just starting our family, right? Isn't family a big accomplishment?
Yeah, it's huge.
So we've had a fun relationship. Like when we met, it was actually so I'll tell this story because I enjoy talking about my family.
Good. Let's dive in.
So,
I want to hear it.
So we when we met, it was after a fireside, right? So at our church we have firesides where they have somebody come tell us how to be better people or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the fireside.
You just showed up for the after party.
I showed up for the after party. I was like, hey, they might have cookies or ice cream or something, right? Literally. I was like, I'm going to go pick up some chicks. So I went, and my friend called these girls over. There's 3 girls. There's my wife, her friend, and her sister. And then my friend just like walks away. And so there's these 3 girls like standing by our group. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go talk to them. So I start talking to them, and I tell them my name was Gideon or something like that. Then I tell them, hey, we're having some brownies at my house. Just bring the brownies, and we'll have a little party. They're like, this dude's an idiot. But people often don't know what to call me because growing up I was called Gentry by my family because my dad's name is Craig.
Okay.
And then in about 4th grade, I got embarrassed of the name.
You got embarrassed of the name Gentry?
Yeah, because I felt like people didn't understand it. People would be like, Ginger, what's your name? I'm like, whatever. So then I was like, okay, I want to be called Craig when I started 4th grade. So I told my teacher my name was Craig. So at school and everything after that, I started getting called Craig.
But at home, you're still Gentry.
But at home, still Gentry. Cousins, family, friends, they all call me Gentry. So that's how I know we're really good friends if you call me Gentry.
Oh, dang. I should have introduced you as Gentry on this.
No, I'm just teasing. But, so that conversation got brought up when I was sitting there talking to my wife and her friends after this fireside. So I didn't realize it at the time, but it was perfect because then afterwards, she texted me, said, what is your real name? Perfect in, right? Got her to text me first.
Yes.
Everything. Little did I know at the time, she had a boyfriend that she had just sent on a mission. So we were dating for a little bit, and she's like, okay, I have something to tell you. Okay, what's that? I have a boyfriend. I'm thinking, what the heck? This floozy. No, I'm just kidding. He's on a mission. And you know what? In the LDS culture or whatever, that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, don't worry about it. Who cares?
He's untouchable. So she's not.
Yeah, exactly. She's available. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so that's how it started.
Very fun.
Yeah.
That is so funny. So what was it that made you, when you said people didn't understand Gentry, you thought they were mispronouncing it, and were you getting teased? Is that why?
Yeah, getting teased, or it just was so unusual for people. They're like, oh, that's weird. And as a little kid, I thought, I was embarrassed by it.
Yeah. Okay, so nowadays you go and you meet with your clients, right? Mm-hmm. And you introduce yourself as Craig.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It tends to be easier
okay.
that way.
All right, folks.
And I get called Craig enough that I get, I'm a man of mystery here.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so, I want to unsolve some of these mysteries on here.
Okay.
So, really quickly, do you ever get mistaken for Greg?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
Because I am guilty of that. I have a really good friend. Her husband's name's Greg, and I usually refer to him as Craig. And then actually one of my colleagues at work, her husband's Greg also, and I always refer to him as Craig.
See, Craig's just the better name.
Okay.
Because Craig, it's like a hard C sound, right?
Yeah.
Greg is like soft and wimpy.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sorry for all the Gregs out there. I don't mean to offend you.
We'll just edit that out because no, I'm kidding. All right. So how did you get into real estate?
So I did pest control. Well, yes, I've done a lot of things actually, but I did pest control for about 10 years. I sold pest control. So I was pretty good at it. I got called into the inside sales team where we took all the incoming calls. I wasn't going door to door anymore. Making a good living doing it. I was pretty consistent year after year. And I just felt like there was no growth. Like, it's one thing to be good at something, and then it's another to feel like you're doing something in life that matters.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't know where to go after that or with that. I've always been interested in real estate, in that type of stuff. But I just made the decision one day that, hey, I got to find something different because I'm going to die at this job. It felt like prison, right?
Yeah, you just weren't fulfilled.
It just wasn't fulfilling anymore. There was nowhere else for me to expand within the company. There was nowhere else for me to go within that realm of, I felt like I had learned what I needed to learn, and so it was time to expand and do something different.
And so you just went
and
for
not be stuck in four walls all the time.
Yeah. So you weren't out like doing door-to-door sales. You were earlier in your career,
I
but
was
you had
early in the
worked
career.
yourself up.
And doing door-to-door sales is probably the hardest thing someone could do.
You know what? I'm always amazed at people that go away for the summer and do these sales jobs. But I feel like if to make it in sales, you just have to have that in you. You've just got to be wired a certain way to make it happen.
You got to embrace the suckiness. Not be afraid to get your face bashed in and keep going. You know,
Yeah,
that's what it
hard.
is.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you decide you're done and you say, I'm just going to go for it. And
Yeah.
And you've done really well in real estate. How long have you been an active realtor?
So in May, it'll be 2 years. And I do it full time, which, I feel like if you're going to do anything well, you should really jump in and do it full time.
Yeah.
And it's been great. Yeah, it's been really good for me and my family. And I've spent a lot of time. I've worked really hard. It's probably more than I've worked in any other capacity before. And there's been more stress, but there's also been a lot more fulfillment.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said earlier you want to do something to make a difference. How do you feel that you are truly making a difference in real estate?
Great question. Sometimes I don't.
Really?
But also other times I do feel like I make a big difference.
Or maybe I should rephrase the question. In what ways is working in real estate more rewarding than working in your previous job?
Yeah. So a home is somewhere where people live, right? Mm-hmm. So much of life takes place in somebody's house.
Yeah.
Like so much. And so it's a very emotional process, which is one of the hardest things about the job, but also one of the most rewarding. Mm-hmm. When somebody, has to leave their home or is choosing to leave their home that they've been in for 10 years and had 3 kids and grown their family in.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we open their house up to have people come through and be like, oh, I don't like the drapes or the carpet or, and they're like, what are they saying,
Do they take a lot of offense to that?
Sometimes. I mean, and it's easy to be like, okay, I shouldn't worry about it because when I'm going through and looking at other houses, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But there's still an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
Because, your style, your place
true.
that you've lived in is being picked apart.
Yeah.
And so you have to deal with that. And then, people are negotiating to get the best price possible. And so, there's all those emotions. But out of that also comes some really big friendships, right?
Yeah.
When you help someone negotiate through that and find another place to live, a place where they can see their family growing for a long time, or that just is going to take care of their needs better. There's just an emotional connection and a friendship that forms that's super rewarding.
That's really neat. And you've sold homes for friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know
Absolutely.
Currently you have a friend you're currently selling a house for.
Yeah.
Does that get a little stressful? Is it a little more stressful for you to sell for someone that's close to you versus just, a random client that comes in?
Yeah, it can be more stressful because you want to do better for your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to treat all of my clients like they are my friends and do the best job possible, right? But when there's a friendship, and that's one of the things I tell people, hey, the most important thing, more than money, more than anything else, is that the friendship stays intact. And I've been in different business environments doing things with friends where anytime business or large amounts of money is involved, it can be hard on a friendship.
Yes.
And that's the number one thing I try and, any venture that I go into is I let people know, hey, the relationship is most important to me. Because it is. And that's not always easy. And I hear some people, they're like, oh, that's why I don't do business with friends. But the way I look at it is if I can't trust my friend to do a good job, who can I trust?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point because I've heard a lot of people say that too. Never mix friends and business and never mix family and business because it can be a very dirty recipe, right?
Right. Well, it's the same type of thing. Oh, don't talk about politics or religion, right?
Yeah.
But if you can't trust your friend to do a good job, like I have a cousin that owns a plumbing company. Who am I going to call? I'm going to call my cousin for a plumber.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's never going to make a mistake? No. But just like any business that makes a mistake or whatever, I know I can trust my cousin and I can communicate with him. Hey, here's some issues and how do we resolve this? And you have to be willing to have those conversations. If you can't have hard conversations with people, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Don't talk about politics because it might be tough. Well, then how do you ever solve anything? How do you ever get somebody else's point of view? How do you ever, have the emotional stability to be able to understand that people think different than you and are different from you?
Yes, absolutely.
But you can still maintain your level of trust.
You know what? That is such a very good point because first of all, how boring would the world be if everybody thought alike, right? And if everybody saw things the exact same way.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on. You and I have had political conversations in the past, and very friendly, and we probably don't see eye to eye on everything, maybe some things, but not everything. But you're a good conversationalist because you're very open-minded and you're level-headed. You don't get too superheated, at least in my experience with you. I'm sure maybe you might.
Sometimes.
Well, so do I. We all do. But it's all about a mutual respect, right? So it is nice to be able to engage with other people with differing opinions.
And I think it's the only way things change.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we all make these stories up in our heads about whatever events happen to us in life.
Yeah.
Right? And like the guy cuts you off in traffic.
Right.
And all of a sudden the rest of your day is ruined because somebody cut you off in traffic because he cut you off. That means people don't respect you and life is terrible and life is hard. And then you repeat that story and you go throughout your day as if like that's the truth.
Right. That's very important to be able to shift that mindset. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we just start with a crappy day.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, how do you turn that around and just.
And I think the only way to do that is to be open to other perspective, other stories.
Yeah.
Right? If you had the opportunity to talk to that guy, maybe it's, hey, I just started my job and I'm running 5 minutes behind and I'm not going to get this job if I don't show up on time, and then you'd be like, oh, I should have let you in, right?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
There's another perspective there. There's another story always going on. And if you can't hear other people's stories, you can't change your mind. You can't change the bad days to the good.
Right.
In my
true.
opinion. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't know.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of times we just get so stuck in our ways. And, some people are a little more stubborn than others.
Oh, yeah,
being one, sure. Super stubborn. But sometimes I get so stuck in my ways. And then also I think a lot of us have revisionist history, as you mentioned. Like we see something one way because we were just so stubborn or just caught in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, maybe that really wasn't the way. But you were talking about driving and being cut off. I'm trying to get better, but where I get the most heated and my dirty mouth comes out, it's in the car. I have no patience.
Me too. My wife always says, you're the worst. Because I'm always like, F you. When I'm by myself and it's like, oh, oops.
At least when you're by yourself.
But hey,
I've learned
sometimes it feels good to let it out and then you just you look back at it and okay, it doesn't have to be the truth.
Right, yeah. No, but I'm trying to be better because I've heard people say, you don't know what's going on with these people. Like you were saying, they could be late for their first job, their first day of their job or super nervous or, maybe somebody's rushing to get to a hospital.
Or maybe they really are an a-hole.
Yeah,
okay?
or some people
maybe
just
they really are.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what does that mean? Hey, I got to deal with a really turd of a person and come out of it on top. Okay.
Exactly. Something my husband always tells my girls constantly: 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
So maybe the people that just really are jerks, yeah, don't give in to them, I guess, right? Just smile at them.
There you go.
Actually, this did happen to me a couple of weeks ago. I did make a mistake and I totally cut somebody off. And I recognized it. I felt super bad. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And this guy just comes over and just like totally flips me off. And I was just like, I'm so sorry. And then I ended up like giving him smiles, honestly. And we were in traffic. No joke, like 5 minutes later, I kind of got up to him again and I looked at him and he gave me like the biggest smile and wave. It was really, really nice. But he had flipped me off earlier.
Right.
And then I think he realized like, oh my gosh, I did recognize I totally cut you off. And I was so, I felt really bad about it. But it was nice to be able to see. I went from the flip off to like 5 minutes later on the freeway.
Like he had some time to process it because you didn't react to him, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Great. Okay, earlier too, you mentioned you love people and you hate people.
Yeah, people are the worst.
Why? Give me some examples. Let's just talk about all the people you hate.
Yeah,
Let's start.
Yeah, okay. So, no.
Let's start. We'll go ahead and alphabetize them. Let's just go down the list.
No, what
drives you the most crazy about people sometimes?
They don't think like me, right? My
Going
dad,
back to what we just talked about 2 minutes ago.
My dad used to have this saying. He says, everybody in this world is weird but me and you. And lately I've been wondering about you.
That's a good one.
And so it's just one of those things. It's like, as you deal with people and you deal with their decisions and how it impacts your life, and that can sometimes be super gratifying and it can sometimes be super frustrating and annoying when it's not the decision you want, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. The trick, I think, is just to be able to let it go.
Yeah.
Not to be so, hey, it has to be my way or the highway.
Right. But is that kind of hard in a professional? I would imagine you're referring to a lot of this too in a professional, from a professional standpoint. For example, when you're out trying to sell a house and you're trying to, explain certain things to clients,
sure,
and they think they understand a certain thing, but you being the professional in this case, no, it's really not that way. This is the right way. Do you run into a lot of that with people? Is that got to just be the most frustrating? Because how do you get them to understand?
Right. Well, the trick is, when you consider yourself the professional, that can sometimes be a bad thing because it's
or
easy.
Or the expert.
Yeah. It's easy to go, no, I've done this a lot of times. This is what you have to do for your house. Right? Like pricing high is one of those things. Hey, let's just see. My house is worth $250. Let's put it at $300 and just see what happens. Okay, well, that's like you got 2 Snickers bars and one guy's selling it for $1 and you're trying to sell yours for $4. Nobody's going to come look at your $4 Snicker bar, right? They're the same thing and they know they have another option for cheaper. But what happens, right? Okay, your home you're priced it at $300. Now your home sits on the market. Now you're 180 days on the market.
You've wasted all this time.
And now people look at your house and they go, oh, it's been on for 180 days. What's wrong with that house?
Yeah.
And it doesn't sell, right? But these people, me included, if I go to sell my own house, it's worth more than other homes. It has to be, right? Look, I put new tile in. I got the kind of countertops I want. I have, so it's worth a lot more. We have to be able to step back. And as a professional, if I go through and I just say, no, you got to do it this way, typically that's not going to give the best results.
Yeah.
It's like nobody likes to be told what to do.
Yeah, it's hard.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's all about getting them to realize it. And you do that through asking questions. And sometimes you let people do things that aren't maybe the best, but it's what they want to do. Because they have to experience or learn it for themselves.
Yeah, that's true. They have to learn the lesson.
Yeah, you have to be patient and deal with it.
And do you ever just want to say, told you so, sucker?
Yeah, but that's not good either.
I know, that's not going to get you anywhere. But you know what? I do have to say, I had an experience within the last 6 months at work where we had done engaged in some initiative. And from the get-go, I mean, it was a lot of money. It was just a dumb investment. It just was not a smart move. From the get-go, I'd been saying this isn't wise, but, you know, it was way above my pay grade, the decision.
Yeah.
And it's been the last few months I've been able to actually sit in a meeting and say, in a professional way.
Right.
Nice way. Told you so. But I just want to be like, told you so. You
Yeah.
know?
Everybody wants to do that, right? Everybody wants to be right.
No, but sometimes, you know, we're all human, right? And sometimes
Totally.
it's just got to be satisfying to say, told you. But it's got to be hard, though, at some point to just sit back and say, okay, we're going to do it your way. And then you don't see things progress as quickly as you'd like. And do people typically come around at some point for the most part?
You have to be a good teacher, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And so you have to allow the student to learn.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're better than them, because sometimes I've learned things from clients that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I should have done it this way.
Yeah.
Right? And so to allow for that to happen is good.
Yeah. And that's good that you can see that and you can recognize, okay, you know what? Maybe I did have a bit to learn there.
Yeah.
Do you find that a lot with raising your girls?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
How often do they teach you things?
All the time.
It's amazing, though,
but
right?
I tell them, I make sure to tell them all the time, Dad knows everything. Don't question me.
Yeah, you know it. You're the boss. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, that's fun.
That's right.
Okay, so then let's shift this question.
Okay.
What do we talked about things that drive you crazy about some people, right? Sure. So you said you love people, you hate people. What do you love most about people? You're a people person.
I do love people.
I would consider you a people person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I need my space, but doesn't everybody?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so, look, I just like being around people that are trying to do things in life, that are out there having fun and bringing happiness. If I look back at the moments that I have most joy, it's when it's with other people. I enjoy different activities. Like I want to learn how to spearfish. That's like this dream of mine. And I've gone down to the Salt River. You know, it's super murky and crappy and like the fish are disgusting. But I've gone down and I've practiced that. Now doing that by myself, there's a little bit of enjoyment there. But the best is when I got somebody there with me. Right? Like my buddy Steven will go with me. It's been a couple of years since we've gone, but we used to go and we'd go catch these fish, and when you pop your head out of the water and be like, bro, look what I got. And he's like, dude, look what I got. And there are these nasty carps that like are invading the river, but you know, it's fun. Sharing that is fun.
Being able to celebrate it with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when you go out to eat, have you ever gone out to eat? You're like, oh, you got to try this.
Yes.
Why would you do that? If it's super good, wouldn't you want it all for yourself?
No. You want other people to be able to experience
because
the joy,
it's better
right?
when other people experience it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Why spearing fish?
I don't know. Why not?
That's just something you always wanted to learn how to do.
Because I think it'd be so cool to be able to hold your breath for a long time. You're in this foreign environment where everything looks way different than above the water. You, it challenges you. Like, there's a lot to it. These fish are like way faster, way more skilled in the water than I'll ever be. And it's just fun, a new environment. I like being outdoors. I like doing things like that. I like exploring nature. I think all that stuff's pretty fun.
Have you been that way since you were a little boy?
Yeah, like my mom, her family, camping was a big thing. So since I was little, I don't know how old I was when we first went, but it's before I can remember. Mm-hmm. They go camping out in the woods every summer for like 2 weeks. Wow. 2 week stretch. And this wasn't like RV camping, right? Like nowadays, you know, people do the RVs and all that. This was in a tent.
Legit camping.
Yeah. Yeah.
No porta potties.
No. I remember my grandpa having us dig the hole for the bathroom for the week and have this little bucket you sit on and, you know, that was awesome. So yeah, I've always enjoyed that a lot. So
were those some of your most prized memories as like growing up?
Yeah.
Being outdoors?
Yeah, for sure. And being outdoors with my cousins, going out playing. Absolutely.
Now you come from a big family.
Yeah.
So cousins, how many cousins?
I think on my mom's side, my grandma was saying she has like, it's over 100. I want to say like around 108 or something, like immediate cousins.
Wow.
Or,
And these are...
that might include great grandkids of hers. I don't know for sure.
But under her, 108.
Yeah, so I lose track.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should know all their birthdays, their names.
Right, yeah.
That is so fun.
And then on my dad's side, he's one of 7 brothers.
7
So
brothers.
I don't know what the count is on that side, but there's a good amount of family there too. And they actually grew up across the street from each other, my mom and dad.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
So you're like legitimately a native Arizona on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So you grew up next to a lot of family. So family's very important to you.
Oh, yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Would you say, is there anyone other than your wife, because obviously she's your number one, who has been the most influential person in your life? That's
a good question. So I for the longest time would tell my wife, no, you're not my best friend. You're my wife. And she was so frustrated with it. I finally told her the other week, hey, you're my best friend. And she's like, oh, I made it. All right, sweet. But probably I've been blessed to have really good friends. But Dallin Chase has been one that's influenced me for good, probably more than anybody else.
And who's Dallin?
We probably met each other around 12, 13 years, those formative years that are super important. And he went and sold pest control with me, and he's just been a great friend throughout all the years. He lives in Utah now, so that makes it difficult, but like he's the one guy that I'll call out of the blue and be like, dude, life is awesome, or dude, life sucks, and just talk to me about whatever. We've tried business things together that didn't work, and we've worked through good times and bad times. And so for me, he's just been the best influence in my life. Absolutely. And outside of like my wife or immediate family. Right.
That's nice to have that best friend that you can go to share the good things, the bad things.
Absolutely.
That's fun. Now, is he married? Does he have a family?
Oh, yeah. He's got 2 little boys and he's married.
Hey, there you go.
Utah.
Your 2 little girls.
2 little boys. Right?
Perfect. That could eventually form into family. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so you've said that you've done a lot of things. So you've dabbled in, you've owned a gym, real estate, pest control. You've tried to do other business endeavors. You, to me, seem like a total go-getter. Okay. Is real estate it for you? No. Is real estate it for you, or do you have other things that you would like to do long term?
Is it for now?
For now. So this is where, you found a good passion. This is where you...
So I've done it where I've had a lot of things going at once, and I don't feel like that's been good for me. And so real estate is my focus right now. Now, long term, I do have some goals to hopefully have some other things going. But the focus right now is to make sure that I do the best for my clients, that I perform. Look, real estate's a funny business right now. You have more information than ever online. You have Zillow, you have Realtor.com, you have all this information.
Yeah.
But it also leads to more confusion than ever. And so my job is to help people fight through that confusion, because you got people saying, hey, I'll offer you a cash offer on your house. I'll do this and that, and you got just people coming from everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So my job is to help people sort through that and really understand what's going to be the best decision for them and their family long term. In regards to buying a house. I'm not a family counselor. And I feel like the better I can do that, the more people can trust me, and the more that business will grow.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why my focus is 100% making sure that people know they can trust me and taking care of them the best I can.
And that's got to be comforting for the client.
I hope so.
For the buyer.
Yeah, I hope so. I've had clients that, absolutely love me. And then others that are like, eh. So it happens, but.
Okay. So Craig, right now, market's crazy, especially here in Arizona. And say I'm looking to buy a new house it is overwhelming, as you've mentioned, and there's a lot of information coming to me through so many ways, right? So many channels.
Right.
How would you make the process more simple for me? Where would I start?
First thing to do, I mean, I have my website, imhomearizona.com. So pretty easy to find. But the first thing, let's meet. You got to make sure you like me. We're going to be sharing some important information, you know, and we're going to go through an intense process. So the first thing to do is really to meet. You can check out my website, see how I do things. You can schedule something there, but meeting the face-to-face is the most important thing, and that's where you start. And then
at that point, you can go over, because for me personally, buying a house, that's a huge purchase, okay? Right. Not am I only just, I'm uprooting my family, right, to go into a new home. It's a lot of money, emotions, a lot of emotions in the current home, finding another one. It's just a very emotional process, as you explained that earlier.
Absolutely.
So I'm assuming that comes with a lot of concerns and questions. So we just sit down and you just give us peace of mind and we talk through it.
And let's talk through it. And I've met with clients where we've sat and we've talked, and the best decision was for them to stay where they were.
Really?
And so if that's the case, that's the case.
Yeah.
We want to do what's going to work for you. And so we got to look at all the variables.
So at the end of the day, you want what is best for your client.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So for all my local listeners in Arizona, if you're I'm serious. If you're looking to buy a new home or even just have questions, right? If you're even, toying around with the idea, it's worth sitting down with someone and talking through it and see if it does make sense at this time.
Absolutely.
So we've got a great realtor here, Craig Gentry,
yeah.
Shumway. So visit his website at imhomearizona.com.
Absolutely.
Do you mind sharing a story about maybe one of your first experiences where it didn't go so well? And was it very discouraging? And
sure. So there's a lady, and she's from Texas.
Okay.
She's a great old lady. She had, she's like in her 70s, and she didn't really have any family to help her out, and she kept coming over to her doctor here because she had cancer. And so she's like, okay, I got to buy a place here. She didn't have a big budget. So I took her, and we drove around for hours. We went to all these different places, finally found her a place that she could purchase under $100,000, which in today's market is like almost impossible.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and we had to go pretty far out. Like we went out to Florence, which for me is about an hour drive, but we got it. We got a good deal on it. She was able to move in. Now, during the inspection period, we noticed there were issues with the roof. So I said that to her, but we had such a hard time finding anything that she's like, okay, let's see if we can get a credit. We got a credit for the roof, right? They gave us some cash because the roof was in bad shape. Well, about 5 months after she moved in, she says, hey, this roof needs replaced. I didn't know about this, and this is so bad. And she was really upset with me. And I said, look, here's the documentation that showed we took the credit for the roof, that we decided not to replace it at that time. You were going to see how long it would last. But she had forgotten all that right now, because she was dealing with her cancer, and she was dealing with just getting settled and moving from Texas and all of that. And so she's like, take me off your mailing list. Don't, all that kind of stuff. And for me, that was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard because I felt like I had done everything I could to get her into a place with the best situation so that she didn't burn up all her money, so that she could get her cancer treatments. And we knew about the situation. But when she had to deal with reality of actually having to fix it, she didn't want to do that, right? And so that's tough. That's tough. You have situations like that.
Yeah. I mean, well, I would just imagine, do you ever have them where you're just like, get super discouraged and you think, why am I doing this?
Not yet.
Or do you have more positive ones that kind of offset that?
Yeah, you have both. I haven't got to the quitting point yet. So
I don't envision you as as a quitter anyway.
Yeah.
You're a pretty positive guy. How do you stay positive?
My wife.
Yeah.
She lets me be negative around her, so.
That's good, though. That's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's exhausting just to keep up with, just to always be positive and always see the good things. So it's nice to be able to have
I want to see the good things. I want, and I strive to do that a lot. I work on it a lot. And I haven't been that way. I mean, if you talk to my mom, she'd probably tell you, me and her fought the most and I was just a turd. But I've worked on that and I've wanted to be more positive. But here's the other thing I realized too. If you go through life like everything's rainbows and unicorns, you don't appreciate anything anymore. Like you have to have the negativity. Mm-hmm. And so what I try and focus on now is when I'm feeling sad or discouraged or whatever, negative feeling I have, is can I feel that and be grateful for it? Like, okay, this is hard. This sucks. And I'm glad I'm going through it. Because if I can do that, then I'll be able to actually feel happiness. I mean, imagine if we were in a status quo of happiness all the time. We wouldn't even recognize it.
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't feel it. It would be nothing to us. But because we have the negative,
makes you appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The positive.
And so can I be grateful for it when I'm going through those negative moments?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I thought about that the other day. So a couple of weeks ago, I was super sick, sinus infection, and it was during spring break. So I felt bad. I wasn't really doing a whole lot of fun things with the girls, but I felt so crappy. I hadn't been that sick in so long.
Yeah.
And I told my husband, man, when you are this sick and feel this crappy, it really makes you appreciate the days that you feel good.
Yeah.
It's like I take so much advantage of just being healthy and having energy and feeling good and being able to go do those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have to have it. You have to have both.
So are you the oldest kid in your family?
I am. Yep.
And your mom said you gave her the most grief. What did you get into trouble for the most growing up?
I was a good kid. I was really good, like straight A's, did what my parents told, like growing up. So when I was young, I would throw up before school, like in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, like almost every day.
Just to get out of it or what?
Because I was so worried about making a mistake at school.
Oh.
Like I just wanted to be that kid that was perfect and I was afraid to make a mistake. Like that was looking back, it sounds stupid, right? But as a kid, you don't know any better.
No, that's heartbreaking.
You just want to please your parents and do good. So I was a good kid. And then, I became a teenager and I still got good grades and I still did really good. But I also wanted my independence. I wanted to go out and do things on my own. So okay, it's really normal to, in the church, when you get your mission call, to have this big party, have everybody together, open it up. When mine came, it came in the mail. I was like, sweet. I opened it right there, looked at it. Yeah, I'm going to Argentina. And then I was working at the school where my younger sisters were going. My mom came through the carpool line to pick up the sisters. I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to Argentina. She's like, why? She's thinking I'm going on vacation or something, right? So, no, that's where I got my mission call. She's like, what? You opened it? But it's like I just wanted that independence so bad.
Yeah.
And I thought I was smart. And so, I would fight with my mom all the time. Absolutely. Somebody had to break her in. Somebody,
Well, you were the guinea pig too, right? The oldest?
Totally.
That is so funny. I love that you just opened it on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't need that big fanfare and the big party.
No, and I was never that way. That wasn't a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Awesome. Okay, Craig, most important thing to you other than family?
The most important thing to me other than family, like a physical thing.
Anything.
I mean, I would have to say my spiritual beliefs. Absolutely. They shape me who I am. They guide me through life. They've given me a lot of comfort. Help me to be a better person. Mm-hmm. Push myself to not just give in to my desires.
Yeah.
We tell our girls we do hard things. That's one of the things that we teach in our family. And but the reason isn't just to do hard things, right?
Yeah,
we don't want to do
something
something just to be difficult, but it's because I truly believe that doing something that's difficult or taxing in the moment leads to a greater reward most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so that's what my spiritual beliefs have allowed me to do. when I want to flip somebody off, if you will, or yell at them. And don't get me wrong, I've done it.
Well, you're a human being. You're not perfect.
But it teaches me and guides me to fight against those natural urges.
Yeah. What a good lesson for your kids. You can do hard things.
Yeah. And sometimes that hard thing is, hey, holding your tongue, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Harder for some than others.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, it has been so much fun diving in with you.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the luck as you continue on with your endeavors and your adventures. You and Brittany are always off doing some fun adventure.
Yeah, we always want to have
traveling,
fun.
doing something fun.
Absolutely.
Where's your next trip? What's your next adventure? Do you have it planned?
I don't know yet. Yeah, we just got back from New York, visited some cousins. Actually, so my cousin's kid runs in the door. This kid is the friendliest kid I've ever met in my life. And he's all, I love to have fun. Everything. Fun is my thing. And I was like, I like you.
That's how he greeted you?
Yeah.
That is awesome. If we could all approach life that way, right?
Absolutely.
You've got to have fun, work hard, have fun. It's all a balance.
Yeah.
Not everything's always going to be easy, but if you have fun and just work hard, good things come.
Enjoy it. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're a good example of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All righty.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's been fun. Thanks for diving in. Jeff, we are done.